Fable 5 was the king of the race for a long time, but now Anthropic has released Opus 5. The question is Opus 5 good enough to possibly replace Fable 5? And you may recall, I did a video about this the other day, and that video was about the fact that Anthropic removed Fable 5 from their subscription $20 a month Pro plan. So it was removed from the Pro plan. I'm frustrated. A lot of folks are frustrated because if you had just a $20 a month plan, you no longer have access to the top model in Fable 5. They did give you $100 in credits, just a one-time thing, but you're not going to get access to it after that. So now, today, Opus 5 literally just came out right before I created this video. I'm still researching it. You can see in the background, I'm testing Opus 5 on the right side versus ChatGPT 5.6 on the left side. And my prompt was create the best marketable virtual board game similar to chess, but with 3 levels, different pieces, a rule set PDF, and basic but fun graphics. It should be ready to play after your first pass. And they are still, well, Opus is still working on it. It looks like ChatGPT did just finish. I'm not going to show the results just yet, but we're going to get back to these results in a moment. I started them at the same time. ChatGPT finished quicker, but we'll see. Quicker isn't necessarily better, right? We'll see which one came up with a better game, and we'll showcase that in a moment. Now, what I'm seeing right off the bat is the fact that Opus 5 is supposedly near as good as Fable 5. I'm not 100% sold, but I'm seeing some very encouraging stuff on that. But what I think might be even more prominent that I'm seeing is the fact that Opus 5 actually has a greater efficiency, cost per task, essentially, than Fable 5 and then the other Frontier models. So we're going to look at that. We're going to take a deeper dive into that here in this video. I'm going to tell you more or less not only what I'm seeing in the benchmarks, because I don't always trust benchmarks, take them with a grain of salt. They can be gamed. But what I'm also seeing in sentiment from other experts on X, I'll take a look at one guy who has a slightly more cynical look at this after we kind of go over some of these main points. For example, the cost has stayed the same as Opus 4.8 on the API, that is. So it's still $5 per million input, $25 per million output. Same price for Opus 5 as you had for Opus 4.8. If you were using 4.8 in the API playground, you can't complain about that, right? And it is definitely better than Opus 4.8. I don't think anyone is disputing that, but we'll see, right? There's also some things about value and trust that come into this, and we're going to talk about this in a moment. For those of you that aren't super familiar with all the different Anthropic models, I'm going to quickly go over them. You have Haiku, which is the fastest, cheapest. Sonnet, which is the next up. It's like a cheap daily workhorse. Opus, right, which is, we just released Opus 5. Fable 5 and Mythos 5. It's important to note that Fable 5 and Mythos 5 are kind of the same family, though they added more restrictions to Fable 5. So these are just the overall little houses within Anthropic. Now, there is a trust angle here, and this may be big for Anthropic's enterprise side because Opus 5 is supposed to be much more aligned than Fable 5 was. It has better constitutional AI training, meaning that it's more helpful, more honest, more harmless, and it is more willing to push back. That could be seen as a good and bad thing, right? Because as I told you earlier, we're going to look at another expert in the field on X who was basically talking about the fact that he had some issues with this, and he had some issues with Opus 5's personality and its behavior. More on that later. Um, and also the safeguards shifted. There's not as many safeguards, so it's not going to down regulate you to a lower model quite as often as Fable 5 was. So that's going to be good for just about anyone using it. For example, on Fable 5, if you're doing coding or looking at biological stuff, it could sort of, its guardrails could be triggered and it'll push you down to a lower Opus model. Now, the other cool thing is that supposedly they got rid of the 30-day retention of your data for safety, which they have with Fable 5. Companies are going to really love this because it protects their IP, it protects their company data, and so that's a nice thing. And they were doing that for safety and abuse monitoring with Fable 5. So definitely some advantages here with using Opus 5. The question is it as good, right? And then the big story that I'm seeing is efficiency, cost per task. Um, it's being shown to be, I mean, not only the fact that it's half the price of Fable 5, and it's within a 1% of Fable 5's performance on Cursor Bench, and on various other benchmarks, which we're going to go ahead and take a look at now. Okay, did it finish? It looked like our chess games are finished. ChatGPT named it Riftspire, the Threefold War. And Opus 5 named it Triarch, Veil, and Ember. Interesting name. But let's actually, before we get into that, let's look at some of the interesting information here. And I think right off the bat, what you're going to notice is Opus 5 is kicking butt on the traditional benchmarks. I'm not going to go over all this because I know not everyone is interested in the benchmark numbers, and you could easily look this up on Twitter under the Anthropic handle, but it's even beating Fable 5 on a lot of stuff, like the agentic terminal coding, all this. It's beating Fable 5 on agentic search, novel problem solving, knowledge work. Um, let's see, computer use, agentic coding, business workflows, biology. It's beating ChatGPT 5.6 according to Anthropic as well in almost everything except for agentic coding, deep SWE, and health. However, in health, Fable 5 is beating everyone. So it's looking really good across the board here. But what I'm really more interested right now is the efficiency or price per task. And Anthropic released some different charts here, which are really intriguing. Now, there's a score on the left and then a cost per task on the right. So you want to be up higher so that you scored higher, and you want to be further to the left so that it's lower cost. And you can see Opus 5 is beating everyone. Now, you can say ChatGPT 5.6 is cheaper at the beginning of the linear scale, but it's scoring way lower. So lower cost at a potential lower quality, at least according to these charts. This is for agentic computer use. This is for business workflows, agentic, same thing. Multidisciplinary reasoning by effort level. ChatGPT 5.6 is not on this chart. It's worth pointing out. It has been omitted for some reason. And then you have agentic coding by effort level. Again, it's winning on Opus 5, but ChatGPT 5.6 is hanging in there, right? And then novel problem solving by cost. This was an interesting one because it is doing a great job of novel problem solving. So that's important. And apparently, I was mentioning earlier to you guys that some people are getting kind of bit of a behavior issue, like it's maybe taking more initiative than other models have. That could be good and bad. For example, we're going to take a look in a second at this guy who mentioned he doesn't like the behavior, the personality, but there's also been reports that it has solved various problems without actually being told how to solve them. So it's kind of taking initiative and solving things in novel ways, even when it's not being told how to do so. And it's kind of just going off and figuring some things out. And let's take a look at this guy. I told you I'd give you a balanced view here. Dan Shipper is saying that he thinks it's a poor man's Fable. Fair enough. I'm not seeing that yet, but it is half the cost of Fable, so it would make sense. I need to do more testing, to be honest with you. It breaks backward compatibility. Here's the other issue I'm seeing he's bringing up, and I saw someone else mention that you can have problems with your existing skills with Opus 5, and you may have better results if you start from scratch. You build new skills, you build new workflows. That would be problematic because no one's going to want to rebuild their skills and workflows. But that's what I'm hearing from this account. They're also mentioning that medium or low effort might work better on Opus 5 because the longer it reasons, the higher its reasoning, the more chance for problematic behaviors according to them. So that's something to keep an eye on. I don't want to sugarcoat anything, so I want to look at the good and the bad here. And now let's take a look at the results of these games. Okay, so these are the 3 levels. I have no idea how to play it. The Under, the Realm, the Aether. So this is the top level. And could take a quick look at the PDF too. The 7 pieces. Definitely took some inspiration from chess, which is great. You can climb, ascend. You win by trapping the enemy crown with no legal escape. No legal move and no check is a draw, and it's a 3-fold repetition, and as is 3-fold repetition. Okay. Now let's take a quick look at ChatGPT and see what they came up with. There it is. Okay, let's see here. All right, different sort of visual direction that they chose on ChatGPT. I like the visuals way better on ChatGPT. Wait, what's going on here? Interesting. They kind of chose a similar layout. Aether. They named the high level the Aether on both games. And then the bottom level here is Root. The other one had a different name for the bottom level. Move log. Interesting. Violet to move. Okay, let's see if I can move something. Oh, wow. Okay. Can I hit this guy? I took one of their guys. Cool. Let's see what happens. So it's working already. It's much more of a inviting interface. Let me see if the other interface is allowing. Oh, it's having me do everything. Okay. What is this? I'm going to try going into that square because I don't know what that does. I probably should read the PDF, but I just kind of wanted to get an idea what these guys came up with. Let's see. Suggest a move. Let's go there. Oh, and this one, I like that. It's actually controlling the red team. Okay, what's this? I'm going to take a real quick look at the PDFs too in a second. Actually, this is a tough call. They both create an interesting game. I would really have to look into them in more detail. This does look a lot like chess, though, just with a couple different angles incorporated. This guy's moving all around here. Damn, there's probably taking out all my guys. I have no idea what I'm doing here. Okay, enough of that. Let's take a quick look at the PDF. Okay. I like the PDF. It's very clean. So let me look at the other one, but I have a feeling this PDF, this is a really professional looking PDF. 5 things worth knowing. Height is not automatically good. Wardens are the anti-air. Drakes cannot be blocked. Count the crown's escape squares in 3 dimensions. Trade a Delver last. Okay, and I don't want to bore you guys to death, but last but not least, we'll take a look at how to play here. Select one of your pieces, then move it. Realm travel. Vertical movement keeps the same row and column unless a piece says otherwise. See, did it also give me a PDF though? There's the PDF. Ooh, it did a great job with the PDF as well. So this is a nice looking PDF. Okay. I'm gonna call it so just on looks alone, I would give the slight edge to ChatGPT. Definitely a little more iconic. A little more of a professional look in the Claude Opus 5 one. And as far as gameplay, I would have to test it further, so it's too hard to tell right now. But I do want to say I'm glad this release came out today. And as someone who is using Claude Pro in the subscription plan, it's good that they're giving us this new option, which it appears might be as good as Fable 5 in a lot of things, and that's a big might. However, the benchmarks are proving that. According to the benchmarks we just looked at, it is better than Fable 5 in a lot of things. One thing it's probably not better than Fable 5 in is creative writing and just creative architecture and just kind of like top level thinking. So that's one of the things I'm really big on, and one of the reasons I use Anthropic in the first place. The fact that I'm going to have access potentially to a watered down version of that in Claude on my Pro plan still does not make me too happy. But I'm going to test it on some writing. I'm going to see what I think about it. And thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm Jess at the Latent Frontier. If you enjoyed this and you want up-to-date news about AI, and not only just AI, but technology in general, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you back, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Have a great day.